Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Marty's Matchbox Makeovers. Today I shall be doing a makeover on this rather tatty looking No.14d Iso Grifo, I call it. Some people call it an Iso Grifo. Now, to tell you the absolute truth, I've never even heard of this car. In fact, I didn't even know I had it until I rummaged around in an old cardboard box full of cars looking for my next project. Apparently this is an Italian-made car and it has American engines in it, Chevrolet and Ford. Now, my car has a 4-litre engine and that's pretty huge, I thought. But the first ones of these cars came out with a 5.4-litre V8 engine. Can you believe it? And it had 300 horsepower. And an amazing fact about this first generation car when it came out, apparently it could do 110 kilometers an hour in first gear. And that is comparable with my old Repsol Honda CBR 1000 motorbike, which was an amazing machine. Somebody loved this little car. They loved it so much they decided to paint it. The doors black and the roof orange. You can see the actual natural colour of it underneath. It's a metallic blue. Now the good news is it came out with a variety of metallic blues. There were some light ones and there were some medium dark ones and then there was some dark ones. So that gives me a lot of leeway there to match the paint. The base of this model is held on by inserting the headlights and grille through the front of the body and then securing it at the rear with one rivet. Quite simple really. Nice design the way they've incorporated the headlights into the retention of the base. Now the base has this checker plate pattern on it, which I love. Apparently there's 3 different types, all to do with the angles of the checker plate. Some go a mirror image like this one, others all go to the right and some go all to the left. So if you've got one, check it out, see what sort you've got. Here's another number plate for you number plate detectives out there to look up to see whether this was registered in England. Unusually this came with a tow hook. Now I can't imagine a V8 engined race car towing a caravan on holiday. Could get a little bit unstable. It's a view of the back, nice details again, we'll look at them later. In the meanwhile, I'm selecting a drill to drill out just the wide end of this mushroomed rivet that's been compressed in by mechanical means and flared out. So this little drill should hopefully take that outer edge off and not damage the base. So let's give it a shot. Try not to slip and drill through my finger, which would make for an entertaining outtake, that's for sure. Oh, my cat's just come in. Probably wants fed. Little bit of slow-mo there for you. Well, for me actually, I love it. Looks so cool, all those chunks flying off. You think the drill's doing a lovely job. It's really just ripping into that metal. Well, there you go, base comes off very easily. It's very sturdy, got some reinforcement in the middle there, cast into it, and there's no damage. No visible damage anywhere, which is good. The interior, annoyingly, is also held in by the rivet. But not when it was first put in there, obviously, because it wouldn't have fitted. So they've put that in and they put the base on and they've squashed the rivet up and it's expanded. It's actually trapping the base in there, which is quite disconcerting. As if I pull on that too hard, I'm going to snap that valuable little tow hook off. I don't want to do that. Well, okay, I managed to find a solution there. I just levered it off gently with the long nose pliers. And looking at it, it's a bit mucky, which is not surprising because the owner left the windows down permanently because it didn't have any. On the doors, that is. Just having a close-up look at this here. I thought it was one of those that fold out. And you know what? It is. However, I'm not going to demonstrate it because the hinge points are so fragile. They're very, very thin plastic. Right on the edge there. But as you can see, it would have been, again, plastic injection molding, I guess, in one part, with the foldable function built into it, so that when it came out the mold, it could be folded up and installed, rather than having to mold two individual parts. A genius, again, by the Matchbox design and development team. It's got its nice steering wheel and dashboard, and there's some extra details there. There's ribbing on the leather seats. And it looks like there's a handbrake with a little... I don't know if that's supposed to represent a gear shift. If it is, it's a sports shift because it's very short. But just looking at that handbrake, the detail is incredible. It's actually got ribbing on the bit that you grip to reef it on when you're going in to do a handbrake turn on the race circuit. So we're getting there slowly. Some bits here coming off. Look at that. They don't actually close. No good. I was going to pull the spring out with those long nose pliers, but I think they've had their day. They don't shut, so I chucked them in the bin and got another pair out. It's a bit tricky here. I'm always scared of damaging stuff when I'm pulling it apart. When you think people used to assemble these by the thousand a day, just slamming them together, they didn't care. But when you're doing a renovation like this or a restoration, it's quite fiddly and scary, because if you break something, you haven't got a bucket of spares next to you. Again, there's more detail on the door. Some ribbing on the door panels, armrest. And if I'm not mistaken, they're actually labelled left and right. Here is the right one. It's got an R on the map panel, whatever you call it, map pocket on the door. This one's got the L on it. Now you'd need to have binoculars or really strong glasses if you're on the production line. That thing's flying past. You've got to pick up a left and a right one. Taking the transparency out now. Shallow drill, so I don't drill through the roof as per normal. And I thought that was going to put up more resistance than it did, but it actually just fell out. Normally they pop out, which is a good feeling, but that one's good. It's not broken, not too damaged. Tiny little bit of wear and tear on it that should be able to polish that out. And again, this is numbered also, number 14. Yeah, the doors have the number on. Did I forget to mention that? I think I did. Now there's no wheels on this car. Not happy. Managed to go through my box of wheels. I found some suitable replacements for the missing ones. Also a couple of spare hubs there. I'm going to try and pick the best ones out. Best 4 out of those and use them up now. For the axle, I had some axle pins. I thought I would, for something different, use some axle rivets and show you how to make an axle from a Commodore Garden pot rivet. Just find one that's suitably sized. I thought this one would be perfect. It goes straight through there. Wonderful. Try it on the back. You think they'd be the same, wouldn't you? But they're not. The back one's smaller. The back holes on the base are smaller. Look at that. That's a surprise. I cannot force that through both axle holes. It just does not want to go. If I pushed it up, it would definitely break it. So I can't use that. I'm going to have to go one size smaller, I think. I'm just stuffing around here trying to find some rivets that fit the wheels. I got these tiny ones. I bought them. I can't remember where I bought them from. I'm going to have to get some more. In actual fact, after this video, I put them in my car so I didn't forget to take them next time I'm going to town. And we got bolt, nut and bolt fastener place there. I'm going to get some more because I'm down to like 5 or 6. So they work. Just got to ask yourself, is the wheel going to be too wobbly because they're too thin? Because those other ones were perfect. I just knocked the that bit, I don't know what you call it, knock that bit off of the rivet. Then you've got the rivet tail. I know what the rivet tail is called. Chuck that bit in the bin. See what it's like. It looks good, but there is a little bit of play there, a little bit of slack. Could make it sit funny. The wheels might not be, if you pick a very, very narrow axle, when you sit it down for display, the wheels won't sit vertical. They'll kind of sag a little bit. So I'm undecided at this stage whether I'm going to go ahead with this. At least I've got an idea of where I'm going. So there's all the bits. So just preparing this car to be resprayed by removing all of the old paint, including the orange and the black on the doors. Nice detail on the bonnet there. I actually thought on the rear, the rear boot, when I first picked the model up, I looked at it and I thought the boot opened because the grooves were so well defined. It doesn't, of course. There's a couple of rough areas there. It's come out of the mould. I guess somebody would have been quality control and buffed them up. Maybe this was acceptable. I mean, it was probably, because I didn't see it until I pulled the paint off. I'm just wearing it down slightly. Don't want to make it worse than it is. Can get a bit carried away with these files if you're not careful. I'm happy with that. The doors. Looking at the doors. No one's ever noticed. Look, keep looking. Get closer. There's a little keyhole on the door, or a button you push to open the door. What an amazing detail. It is microscopic. I mean, look at the tip of that needle. I'm in the habit of painting the bases with this cheap export silver paint, but today I thought I'd do something different. So I'm going to polish it up instead with some metal polish. The thing is, I haven't got a cloth. I need a soft cloth to polish it afterwards. Let's see if there's something in the laundry here. Oh, I see Julie's done the laundry recently. Oh, good. That means that there's probably a load of socks in here. Some old socks I can use probably as a polishing rag. Those will probably do. Don't want to miss those. Perfect. Look at that. Hobby room with a supply of polishing rags in the next room. Who could ask for anything more? I'm doing a test there on the inside to see whether the metal polish was kind of compatible with this metal, and it is. So I do the base. It's one of those things that you just keep going and you think, is that good enough? Shall I go again? And you keep going again and again. Before you know it, it's time to go to bed, and you're still haven't got that mirror finish that you're chasing. You still haven't got that mirror finish that you're chasing. And you never will without some specialist equipment. So I think that's acceptable. So time to put some undercoat on these parts. Once again, the Tamiya grey, love the stuff. Light grey primer. So having a look here, and of course, as normal in my videos, I do love to have a second look at the details. Once they're highlighted with the fine primer, you can really see the detail in all its glory, like that little vent under the windscreen there, and the hood ornament, tiny little badge on the front that I hadn't noticed before. There's air intakes, I guess they are, for cooling the engine. Why there's one at the back, I don't know. Maybe someone could tell me. Maybe there was some internal ducting to suck the hot air out the back. Another number plate on the back and some hidden lights there. Anyone know what these are? There's one on each side. I'm guessing they're fuel filling points, but don't know for sure. Maybe a fuel flap. Let me know in the comments if you're aware of what they are. And even that pinprick of a button is not obscured with this fine primer. There's the door again. You could just see the number 14 on it, because this is the 14D model. I'm going to use some metallic paints that somebody called Scale Finishes, SMS paints. They sent me these a couple of years ago. I've used them from time to time. Don't do much metallic paintwork myself, but this one here is a beautiful, as it says, pearl electric blue, and I'm thinking it's going to suit this car down to a T. That's what I mentioned at the beginning, that apparently they came out in various shades of blue. So if this doesn't look right, it probably is, if that makes sense. The good thing about this paint is you don't have to mix it or blend it. It comes pre-blended with thinners to the correct consistency. So it's straight in the spray gun and straight out again. It's great. Very convenient and an excellent product. And I'm not affiliated with SMS, but credit where credit is due. This paint looks gorgeous. The coverage is so good. It goes on almost one coat. Self-leveling. I don't know if it's got levelers in it, but it seems like it's got a self-leveler, because you will see when I show you these after they've dried what a beautiful result is to be had. I'll show you when they're dry how beautiful the end result is. What does that say down there? 30mm. There is one problem with them. It goes pretty quick. So I've used 90% of this bottle for one model. So I'm guessing one model, one bottle. And it was very light blue. And I thought maybe I should have painted the vehicle black first, because maybe that would make it look a little bit darker, a little bit more original to the original colour. Not that that matters. So I did a little experiment and I painted this aeroplane black. It's just a Gloucester Meteor, I think. And then underneath I painted the blue onto the black to see if it made any difference. And it actually doesn't. So that's not the answer. If you're trying to make this paint a little bit darker, painting the model black does not seem to work. Anyway, good little experiment. I'm just going to wash the interior now with some soapy water. A little bit of grime in there, as I said. The windows are down all its life. Imagine if you had a real car and you left the windows down for 50 years. What would it look like on the inside? Well, this one comes out like brand new. Obviously it's been in a metal box all its life and has received no damage whatsoever, but it looks great. It actually looks brand new. For the wheels, I've picked the best 4 out that I could find, and I'm painting the tyres, cheating a little bit. Some people would replace the tyres maybe. I don't have any tyres as replacements, unfortunately. I mean, I have loads of tyres, but these ones look pretty good anyway. So I just touch them up with some black paint there from Tamiya, and I use a liquid chrome on the hubs. I'll show you them later. Put them aside to dry, and now I'm concentrating on the windscreen. Again, this auto sole polish, I seem to be using this for a lot of things these days. I have used it for a while. One tube has lasted me 5 years so far, and I think it will last another 10, the rate at which I use it. Lucky I got that soft cloth. I go again and again. I do it 3 or 4 times. When I'm happy, I dip it into the Long Life Shining Floor Polish and put it under this little dust cover. I did away with the onion saver because last time I was trying to get the lid on and the part fell over and I wasn't happy about it, so I thought I might not use the onion saver anymore. The only thing left was to reassemble. First thing was to use the axle reforming system in my shed, which is 2 of these nail punches, one in a drill press, the other one in a block of wood, which is clamped to the drill bench. And it just reforms the end of the axle with pressure and heat, I guess. You can also peen them over with a small ball peen hammer if you don't have a drill press. Putting this back together, I'm quite excited, and then I start to get disillusioned because I realise it's not a simple put back together job because I forgot the doors come out and there's a little spring that holds the doors in. And it all fell apart quite easily. Putting it back together is another story. Didn't do anything with the spring, just left it as is. I mean, what am I going to do? Polish it? Who's going to see that? Takes me a few attempts to get this in. And then finally I think, yes, I've done it. And then I realised that it had to sort of slalom its way through those posts, so it had some spring pressure on it. I put it in, pulled it out a couple of times. Here we go, another fail, go again. The door's fallen off. Can you feel my frustration? Put one door on, the other one falls off. Here we go again. This video is, well, it's 10 minutes of putting the doors back on, I think. But obviously we shortened it. Come on, you can do it. Meanwhile, I'm expecting to see a big scratch on the roof or something from an unseen iron filing on the cardboard work mat there. Huh, look at that. I didn't get it around that post there. I forgot all about that. Go again. You can go make yourself a cup of coffee if you like whilst you're waiting for this. I've got it on there and I'm reluctant to push it any further, but I feel it needs it. It needs that little bit extra jiggle. Now I quickly scan over the model, see if there's any damage, and thankfully it is still in pristine condition. So often at this stage of the reassembly, the main body gets damaged, a scratch or a thumbprint. So far so good. A little bit of silicone, clear silicone there just to hold this windscreen in. So when I tip it upside down, it doesn't all fall apart. It doesn't have to set, just uses capillary action to hold it in there. Obviously it sets overnight, but just makes assembling it a little bit easier if you can just glue that in. The reason I use silicone is because you can probably pull it out again later on in life if you need to. Got to remember, I got a screw on the end there. I'd set myself up and then realised that I'd left a screw in there because it has to be colour matched. To match the rivet, the original rivet was colour matched, so that has to be colour matched. Trying to get this in was harder than getting it out.
Does not want to go. Don't want to force it.
What I had to do in the end was get some very small drill, slightly oversized than the rivet, and just open up that hole at the rear on the drawbar, just the tiniest amount to get it over that rivet. So I did that off camera. I'm going to feed the front of the base in and then push the rear down. Don't snap the tow hook off, please. Puts up some resistance. See, put this screw in. Just clamp it down nicely. All right, we're on a winner. Looking good. So it's time to have a recap of what this model was like when I started. Well, let's face it, it looks like trash. It's got no wheels, no axles, and the doors are black and the roof's orange, which looks horrible. And this is what it looks like now. What a beautiful little gem. Ordinarily, as I say it time and time again, you see these little cars and you think, I'm going to chuck that in the bin. A lot of people would have done over the years, and I guess they're getting rarer because of it. But if you can take the time and spend a little bit of money and you've got the patience to start this hobby, you can make these beautiful cars come back to life. Now, what would you do if you had an Iso Grifo? You know what I would do? I would polish it up on a Sunday morning. I'd pop down to the local petrol station and fill it up with some high octane fuel. Then I'd find a straight road out the back of town and see what she can do. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave a comment, like and subscribe, and recommend to your friends. So until next time, this is Marty from Marty's Matchbox Makeovers saying goodbye.
How good is that? Looks so shiny. Looks almost new out of the shop. Let's, let's hope I can get the lid off. Okay, there she goes.